Okay. What's up, iCkEdMeL? Welcome. Make sure we're live here. We should be live now. Great. Thank you for stopping by. Apparently, there's some new. Well, there's another podcast that Nancy Grace did. Came out 2 days ago. I haven't seen it yet. It's different from the one that we saw previously. So I figured we could watch that, but there's some other stuff too that we can watch. And I almost wasn't going to come on because it's a little bit late. You know, according to my analytics and demographics, it starts to slow down around 10 and after or something. But the weekend's kind of slow. I might as well just jump on. We can hang out together. And let me pull this thing up first that Fresha had sent me. And then we'll get into the other stuff that Jazz sent me, the Nancy Grace stuff. Let's check this out, Reddit. All right. Computer's acting a little wonky. There. Ooh, I hope I'm not on the VPN. For some reason, let me try it over here. I don't know if it's just Google Chrome. There you go. I don't know, man. That Google Chrome thing is in the trash. What's up, everybody? Welcome. If you could hit like, thanks for stopping by. You didn't get no notifications? Did you guys get notifications for this? Tell me in the chat. I could do a little poll. I should have notifications, but I didn't give it like a... You got a notification? Finally on time. It's early in Cali. That's true. The West Coast it's early. It's 9 p.m. in Calgary.
Come into this community next year, or they don't. So I'm serious. Kids that come into this community next year, or they don't. 15,000 kids that come into this community next year, or they don't. So I'm serious.
I had the opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you.
What? When was this posted? Oh, I got tea brewing. I got to get the tea real quick. All right, hold on. We're going to listen to the rest of this, and then I'm going to replay it. Their cause of death don't match. The points of damage don't match. Their injuries don't match. Retargeted versus not targeted.
And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted. Or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Baddies.
What?
Match.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Their means of death don't match.
Baddies.
They don't.
And Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go
have
up the
been targeted.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just going to say it.
Whoa. Okay, I'm going to replay that. I'm going to grab my tea off the stove so I can kind of hang with you guys before we get to the podcast. Give me 1 second. I'm going to replay it. First time I'm hearing that clip.
15,000 kids that come into this community next year, or they don't. So I'm serious.
I had the opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go
have
up the
been targeted.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step.
So he said that cause of death don't match. See, I mean, I can't imagine what the frustration must be like as a parent, but at the same time, I guess this is why police are kind of like, you know, not saying certain things because I don't know. This is
It does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't.
but I guess their frustration too is all the conflicts of information that keeps coming out.
And Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go
have
up the
been targeted.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match.
Their points of damage don't match. Fresh, a good clip. The cause of death don't match. Their points of damage don't match. Their injuries don't match. And that's what I'm trying to figure out too. And this is what Fresh pointed out to me as well. Is he also said he doesn't have to go up the steps. What does that mean? Yeah, what? He doesn't have to go up the steps. I'm not exactly. I mean, I know there's a second and a third area, but like, what does that mean? Yeah, I mean, I had a friend. I had a friend of mine. You know, we talk off record about this case a lot of the times, and you know, personally, she was telling me she's kind of concerned a bit, you know, with some of the details that are coming out from the parents because, you know, I don't know if it could hurt things. But, you know, when we did that stream the other day, and I'm sitting here like, damn, this shit is going back and forth. This is ridiculous. Targeted, not targeted. Okay, the people might be targeted. Okay, now the house might be targeted, or we're not sure exactly if it was the house or the individuals, you know. But this right here is definitely going to make police hesitant for sure. No, without a doubt. If they're already not, I'm sure they got to be already. For sure, this is going to make police hesitant to say anything. I'll play it one more time, and then we'll get on to, I guess we'll do Nancy Grace. I saw that Banfield did do she put out the full interview, I think, with Xana's mother. So we can take a look at that. And anything else you guys see that's going on the internet with regards to this story. I kind of looked a little bit today. I kind of took a break, though, mostly today. But I still see the rummagings going on the internet. The Chad dad thing, too, I don't know what that means. I remember he said that the other day. I don't know. What's or Chad? He said Chad or something before. He said he's a Chad dad. I'm not sure what that means. I looked it up.
15,000 kids that come into this community next year, or they don't. So I'm serious.
I had the opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than.
So, but if you look at the beginning of this conversation too, this reporter, it says his source, whoever the sources are, they're putting out information, I guess, that we don't have. And so, I mean, he's being told information. She's trying to get confirmation from the parents. So whatever that is that's going on, it's out there.
The other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically. And they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted. Or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go up
been
the
targeted.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay. Mo says he doesn't want to have to take it above their heads to a higher authority. Well, what do you think that higher authority would be? Where's the next step? Curious, wondering. Okay. And the other thing too, we're gonna get to that too. I think I forgot the video that the locks were fixed or changed. Somebody's dad. I just heard somebody's dad a week prior or something. I changed the locks. All right. So let me get the super chats. We're gonna do the Nancy Grace thing, and then after the Nancy Grace stuff, we're gonna go over anything else that's come out, and I'll be going over the chat. I have way too many windows open. TikTok, all this other stuff. All right, let's see here.
Making today's crime stories. Thanks, Sarah Lee.
WhatsApp.
That's Purdue Global.
I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. Listen.
An eerie silence inside the Kibbe Dome before tonight's vigil. The sound of buzzing and beeping metal detectors made more noise than the thousands of students who stood on the field to honor the life and memory of Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Madison, who were found stabbed to death in this home off campus 17 days ago. Candles weren't allowed inside the Kibbe Dome, so students instead lit up their phones as the names of each student were read aloud during a moment of silence, a pillar of light representing each life lost.
We don't know how long this investigation will take, and we don't know the why behind this horrific act. But what we do know is we will all go through this together.
Xana Kernodle's family was not here tonight. And, you know, the elephant in the room, obviously the killer still out there, but were they here tonight at this vigil standing alongside students? That's a question some people are wondering.
You're hearing our friends over at KREM, but the big question, even touching on the vigil, is a bombshell just dropped by Idaho police. Take a listen to our friend Brian Enton.
We interviewed the prosecutor. He said that one of the victims was not targeted, that the residence was targeted, and then today said something totally different to a different reporter. We've been trying to figure it out, and I just got an email from the police department saying that this has been an internal miscommunication. And I want to read this. This is a quote now by the prosecutor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. We want to let you know that there was a miscommunication between detectives and my office. To clarify, investigators do not believe the murders were random, but we cannot unequivocally state the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted. I apologize for any confusion. And then it goes on to say in big, bold letters, correction. Conflicting information has been released over the past 24 hours. The prosecutor's office stated the suspect specifically looked at the residence and that one or more of the occupants were undoubtedly targeted. We have spoken with the prosecutor's office and identified that was a miscommunication. Detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate.
Okay, this is a big deal. And it was not a quote, internal miscommunication. Multiple people within the police force and the DA's office has said these 4 murders.
Guys, this is a audio podcast, so there's not going to be like video or anything playing. I mean, unless I find something to play in the background while we listen, but this is just a podcast, audio.
Were targeted. 1 or more of the college students were the target of a killer, a knife killer. That's not a miscommunication. This is a change in forensic strategy. With me, an all-star panel. Before I go to crime reporter with Fox News Digital, Stephanie Pagonis, first to Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, and star of the hit series Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, this is a seismic shift, because if the attacks were not targeted, that makes the killer much, much more a needle in a haystack.
Yes, it does. In that population at that university, Nancy, it certainly does.
Oh, and you know what? I need to get that interview as well. So if the one that I'm thinking about, so I'm going to DM some people to get me certain clips. So we're going to watch the full interview of, we're going to watch Kaylee's family again, this News Nation clip. I think Xana's mother's the one, or whose mother was it that was on News Nation? They released a full interview. And I wanted to get that clip where, damn, it slipped my mind now. The clip where, I can't remember now. It was really important too. It's the father talking. It'll come back.
Because now you don't know who you're looking for. Can you narrow it down? Possibly. But there's been, look, and hear me right here. When you put this kind of information out, that turns all eyes, it turns all minds toward a particular type of person that they're looking for. And that even extends out to the individuals that they might be seeking information from. Oh, they're looking for a targeted person.
Okay, whoa. Slow down. Yes, you're right. And back to let me go to Stephanie Pagonis real quick. Crime reporter, Fox News Digital. Stephanie, thanks for being with us, because much was made about the vigil. Was the killer there? If it's not targeted, he's not there. If he's not expected to be, the only way that the killer, if it was targeted, would be noticed in his absence is if he was expected to be there. Like when a husband kills a wife and he doesn't show up for the funeral. That's really obvious. But in an untargeted attack, that killer is not going to show up at a vigil. He's long gone.
So I was actually there last night, and not only were, like you said, there hundreds of students there.
I kind of disagree, though, with the killer wouldn't show up at the vigil. I've covered some stories. There was one story too. I can't remember the name. I'm not going to go too far back, but there was a guy that burned his house down with his wife and his kids inside. And she even previously had tried to report it to police, or I don't know why she was still there, but she had at some point in their relationship made a report that he literally threatened to burn the place. And that's what he does. He burns the place, but police didn't know that it was actually him. And so this dude comes back to the house. Police are there. People are hugging this guy, praying, oh my God. They're lighting up candles and stuff. This guy's over there with these people hugging and doing all this kind of shit and doing their little prayer circles. And then come to find out, and he got charged. He's the one that did that shit. So some of these people are sick, and they would come back and hang around or blend in or go to the vigil or go to the funeral or go to the things that they've been doing or go to a search,
But there were also what appear to be undercover police officers in the crowd. But one thing, like you said, is walking back to this targeted statement changes so much about this case. Even from the start, police have said, and not at all to fearmonger here, but even from the start, police have said that there was not a threat to the community because this was a targeted case. Now, of course, they later said that people should be careful, and that is absolutely understandable. But this changes so much, and I just want to flag that exactly 1 week ago from yesterday, on November 23rd, Moscow Police Captain Roger Lanier told the press and the public during a press conference, he said, we've told the public very clearly from the beginning that we believe it was a targeted attack. To be honest, you're going to have to trust us on that. So they wouldn't say why they thought so.
Yeah, they're all pointing the finger now. Stephanie Pagonis saying, oh, yeah.
So what's she saying? If it wasn't targeted, they wouldn't return then? Maybe I misheard that then. I'm really bad at listening when I'm streaming, but I thought that's what she said. It's different a lot of the times too. Sometimes after stream, I have to re-listen or before stream.
This is an internal communication. I'm calling BS on that because people within the police force, just as you just pointed out, Stephanie, and within the DA's office, we're saying, hey, trust us, it's targeted. Now, before we get crazy, I also want to state, and agree or disagree, Dale Carson is with me, high-profile lawyer joining us out of Jacksonville, and also former Fed with the FBI, former cop as well, and a high-crime area, Miami-Dade, author of Arrest Proof Yourself. He's at DaleCarsonLaw.com. Dale, here's the thing. Targeted can mean a lot of different things. And let me harken back again to Ted Bundy. Yeah.
Nicole said, I've seen all kinds of stuff going on, because what I saw today too is people were looking back at Jack D. People have been looking at Jack D for a while. People were saying that because, and now I remember, thank you for the chat reminding me now, the clip that I'm looking for. There was a clip with Kaylee's family and the father. They're talking about, I feel like in that clip, they almost alluded to, because they were saying that, I think it was the sister or the father, they were saying that they just feel that they ruled out some people way too fast in this case. And they were it seemed like they were alluding to somebody but didn't want to say. And so that was kind of interesting to me. And so, but yeah, people have been pointing at Jack D. People have been pointing at Jack S. They've been looking back at the hoodie stuff. People are re-looking at the food truck clip and stating that somebody said F you, which I think you can hear it. And so they're trying to, it's all this stuff going on. But this one person, Nicole, in the chat said, I don't know if I'm way off, but what about the fake reporter the other day? She asked a question about if they thought a female could have done it. What if she was putting herself into it? Maybe it's her. News Nation 2 hours ago. Okay, thank you. Is this clip? Maybe this is the one that Jazz just sent me. We'll look at it after.
Dozens of tips and crimes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's this one, right? It might be that one. So we're going to get to that after the podcast.
Yes. He targeted the women in the Chi Omega house, the girls. But he didn't know them. When I say he targeted them.
You're right, though. They did say not in the inner circle. So outer circle. But they also said that they feel like some people were cleared out too fast, all right? We're going to listen to it.
They were all of the physical type that he enjoyed killing. Within a certain age, of course, he did deviate. Within a certain age, he killed within his race. Many of his victims all had long, dark hair parted in the middle. If you look back at them, they had a certain look. So did he know them? No, he didn't even know their names, but he targeted them. Get it?
Well, that's exactly what has happened here. So my understanding of targeted is different. It's like yours. They were targeted because they were actually killed. And these were killings. This was not wanting them to have pain. This was a killing. They went in, the person killed these people. So this was not made to make them suffer, as Bundy often did. So you're exactly right. But now they're switching the game on us. And now it's not a targeted attack. It's going to be random. And so that does change the entire dynamic of who we're looking for.
Oh, yeah. And that's certainly putting it mildly. Judge Scott Morgan, before when we thought it was targeted, remember you and I were analyzing how do they know it's targeted? Was one body treated differently? Was one body staged? I mean, we were going through all of the possibilities.
Right.
But not targeted? Oh, it's not like you're going to the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, the creepy guy online that's following you, tagging you, the guy that's looking at your snap map. No. Then you go beyond that to the delivery boy. You go beyond that to the guy that sits in the back of your classroom.
Yeah. Hey,
and then you go to the bus driver and the cab driver and the Uber driver, and you go out and out and out. And suddenly, you got nowhere to go.
Got nowhere.
With untargeted, it could be anybody.
Yeah, it becomes randomized. Hey, Nancy, something I find interesting here in reference to Dale's former colleagues with the feds. And notice the silence is deafening from the FBI at this point.
Wait a minute. You don't usually hear a lot from the FBI.
No, you don't, but they do.
Shut.
Okay, well, listen, they have involved, admittedly, the behavioral sciences unit.
I don't know why you're saying admittedly. Like it's some kind of confession. They put
I
on
don't
the
think-
thumb
no.
screw.
Bianca said untargeted targeting. Lord almighty.
No, I'm just saying that if they put it out there. So I think people are, and rightly so, they should be asking the question, where is the FBI? Well, the FBI many times will consult with the locals. I'm wondering if the locals are listening to the FBI or if the FBI is giving them information about what their profile
Oh,
might
Joe
be.
Scott, you know what?
What?
You're muddying the water, and I don't think right now the police need another black eye. But another thing, and Joe Scott, Stephanie Pagonis, Dale Carson, Dr. Bethany, you know I'm getting to you. I think that people are actually mistreating the cops right now. They're saying they bungled it. I don't think that's correct. In a multi-victim murder scene, the last one I worked on, there were 4 dead bodies on 2 floors, and it took us over 2 weeks to gather the evidence. And we knew who did it. We already knew who did it. Another multi-victim crime scene I worked on had 3 homicide victims. And what complicated that is that it was outdoors. Now catch this. Wait for it. I went back to the scene, well, practically every day. But it was well on a week before I went back to the scene and found another shell casing hidden under foliage. Yes, that's what takes so long. And I just happened to find it. I was just kicking around and I found it. In fact, I just got chills remembering that moment. So, guys, claiming they bungled it is simply not accurate.
So they're still going. They haven't gotten the results back yet. And I don't know. That whole thing with the other day that Nancy was on, I think it was Fox, and she had said something about, I forget the exact verbiage, but everybody was like, she implied that like the results came back and no perp was in the system for CODIS or APHIS. And we haven't heard anything since. No, but has any of the reporters asked about that? Have we got any kind of confirmation? I would assume that it's still being processed, but she made everybody believe that like whoever this is not in the system, unless she misspoke. I'm not sure. Technical, thank you so much for the super chat. Says still feel like it was Bulgarian cereal. What? Bulgarian cereal. Targeting could mean the house, University of I, the girls, or any combination thereof. Think Bundy, Rollins, etc. It's not unheard of. DM Bonanz, thank you for the super chat. Says time to bring in the private investigators. Yeah, that's true, but not a bad idea. I don't think. Dad is not making sense. I feel so bad for these families. So confusing. I think what's going on with the dad, this is what he knows information and he's trying to say things without saying it. He's trying to say things where people can kind of read between the lines because maybe he's been told not to say, or he's trying to say things where to not try to give too much away. It's a really hard thing to do because then sometimes the way you're saying things, it's kind of, I mean, he was super blunt. If you missed the beginning of the stream, he was super blunt. The quote that Fresha had sent me was, he said their cause of death don't match, their points of damage don't match, their injuries don't match. So I don't know. I think he's just talking a certain way. Yeah, I can solo chat if you guys want. Jennifer, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, thank you for all you do. Appreciate you. Thank you. And it's technical. I feel like local law enforcement is out of its depth. The BAU of FBI is doing its work. I don't think law enforcement is incompetent. I think they've never worked a multi-victim murder before. Nancy Grace is fire. Fuego.
Going back to school as a working and save near.
Big thank you to our partner, personalized,
powerfully immersive.
You've got blood on blood on blood. You got to get the blood. You've got to get it to the crime scene uncompromised. Then the scientists get in on it. They're looking through the microscope. Yeah. They've got to analyze, is it one person's, 2 people? Has it been compromised with dirt or hair, or has somebody stepped through it? You've got to comb that place for fingerprints. This was a party house, for Pete's sake. No telling how many fingerprints. And they're not bringing a maid in every other week. That's not happening. So how many fingerprints are in that home covering everything? This is a very complex crime scene consisting of 4 dead bodies on 2 different levels, 3 levels altogether to process Dale Carson. I mean, the fact that they originally said it was targeted, I understand why they said that. And the fact they're now saying, hey, it may not be targeted, I understand why they're saying that, Dale.
Well, look, when I taught crime scene investigation for the Bureau, here are the principles. The first is you make sure the bad guy's not there.
Yeah, you'd never toot your own horn, would you? Go ahead.
No, the bad guy's not there. You make sure that anybody who is there is still alive, and if not, you try to fix that. And then the next thing you do is you expand the perimeter of the search as large as you can maintain control over it, because that deals with chain of custody later when you're trying to prosecute the case.
Okay, hold on. Talk English to me, man. When you say, for those of you listening, you hear Dale Carson throwing out a little lingo, we're impressed, expand the perimeter of search.
You want to
speak plain English,
right, yeah.
man.
Well, you want to control the biggest area you can to protect any evidence that you may later find in that area. And from my perspective, now that this is clearly not a targeted attack, that comes from somebody watching the interior activity of that house from the exterior. And that puts us back on that hill.
You said that on day one. You said they need to be looking at that incline, kind of like a hill right behind the house, that someone could have been watching the house from that hill. And some idiot, I don't know who it was yet, but I'll find out. Stephanie Pagonis, crime reporter, Fox News Digital, was whining that the cops didn't get cast prints of the vehicles before they were taken away. Well, that's idiocy. You get cast prints of tread marks when you don't know what the car is. They towed the cars, and I believe the cars belonged to the people that lived in the house, the 5 people living in the house. 5 cars were taken away.
People saying Nancy is angry. Are you guys laughing because of when she said to speak, what she said, plain English? I thought what you said was pretty plain and to understand. I don't think it was that.
So and they've been taken away for processing in a controlled environment, probably with Idaho State Police.
That was pretty layman.
So a lot of whining about what the cops are doing, like not taking cast marks of tires. You take a cast mark when you don't know who the car belongs to, like a getaway car. So Stephanie, I also want you to clarify something. I don't get that cops are saying necessarily this is not a targeted attack. I understand them to be saying, we don't know if it's targeted or not.
I completely agree. What they seem to be saying here is not definitive in one way or another. What they're saying is they can't yet say definitively that this is targeted. Instead, they are still working to ascertain the information to be able to definitively say so. Now, as for the crime scene and even that incline that we discussed just previously, I just want to flag that I'm here now. I'm here on the ground in Moscow, Idaho, and we have not only had one full day of snow, but we've had several. Now, I've been told from the police department that they have already done extensive work and spent much time at the crime scene, but I do wonder how much the snow complicates things. Now, as for the vehicles, like you discussed, yes, they did tow 5 vehicles away from the scene, and the vehicles are now being placed at a city at a city mechanic shop. So they are there in a controlled environment, like you said, so that if they need to go back and examine the cars once again, they can do so. I was told yesterday that the cars were already processed while they were at the crime scene, but now they're being held as part of their ongoing search warrant so that if they need to revisit those vehicles, they can.
And
so what let me see what Meg sent me as far as what they were saying earlier. They're explaining that if it's a random murder, usually the murderer will run and take off. If it's targeted, the killer will stick around and insert themselves into the investigation sometimes. Some will call in and ask if there's any updates. Okay, that makes sense. I'll put that. Thank you, Meg.
Very quickly, Joe Scott, I think the reason they're taking the vehicles, and there's really no way to put this delicately. For all I know, the perp came up and took a leak on one of the tires, watching the house. He may have touched the car. For all I know, one of the girls may have given the killer a ride. That's why they have the cars. I don't think the cars are connected to the murders, but they're going to be processed. And how does the snow affect the scene on that incline behind the murder house, Joe Scott?
Well, obviously, the snow is going to obscure anything as far as footprints and all of that is concerned.
You know, we know that snow covers up the leaves and the foliage, but the way you said it sounded so much more scientific. Okay, go ahead. Obscure.
Well, yeah, it's going to cover it up so that they're no longer visible. I hope that.
But can you process it?
It's very difficult. Now, you can process. There's a difference now. You have, when this thing first happened, Nancy, there was no snow on the ground. So if you have an underlying footprint out there at that time, you would have had to have captured it then. But now you've got a layer of snow on top of it. Now we can get footprints out of the snow. That's not what's going on here. Now the snow is obscuring, it's hiding. So if you didn't get it the first time, it's going to be very difficult to get it now because now you're going to have milk.
You're screwed. I'll interpret that for you. If you didn't already process that scene, that area, a viper's nest, I think, as Dale Carson may have called it at one point, where the perp may have been watching them, much as Bundy would watch his victims. I spoke to one of his surviving victims, and when she was attacked, oh my stars, Jackie, what was her name? I loved her so much. She was a dancer, and he was watching her through her window go through her dance routine, and he came in and beat her senseless. She survived. Oh, by the way, he left her permanently deaf. That ended her Broadway aspirations, but she went on to become a dance instructor for the deaf, believe it or not. Wasn't she at Gaudet? Anyway.
Cheryl Thomas.
Right,
Nancy,
Cheryl Thomas. Hold on, wait a minute. You're making me lose my thought. It's very easy to do. My point is, back to what Dale Carson was saying earlier, if this guy had been watching them the way Bundy watched some of his victims through the window, there may have been trace evidence left there. But the snow, if they didn't process it before it started snowing, they're screwed. Jump in, Dale.
Look, we're not necessarily looking for trace evidence or fiber evidence or microscopic evidence. When people do things like this, they tend to leave things by accident. A bullet falls out. There's some piece of their clothing that's left there, a large piece that you can see. Or you go to the scene and you kick up the leaves and you find a bullet casing. That's what we're looking for.
It was a knife, man. There's not going to be a bullet casing, but I get your drift.
That. I'm talking about when you found one.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly how that went down. Dr. Bethany Marshall joining me, psychoanalyst to the stars, joining us out of Beverly Hills. You can find her at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, I got several questions. The first one being, what does it tell you about the killer that they may have been just watching the victims through the window? Because, Jackie, remember when we looked at the crime scene, you could look straight in some of the windows, especially the sliding glass door. And if it's at night and they're in there in the light, walking around, cooking, probably partially undressed like everybody does, who's probably watching that? So what kind of a person does that, number one? And number two, this may not be targeted thing is a big deal. Translation, you better get your children home from that school right now. Because if it's not targeted, if it's not the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, the connected person, that means it's random. And your child could be next.
So, Nancy, just to place this in context, I was thinking about, you remember Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker?
Oh, yeah.
I was a student. I was in seminary when he was targeting women in the larger Los Angeles area.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 3 roommates.
Did he cross racial bounds? Did he kill within his race?
And he crossed racial bounds and age bounds. From very young women to the elderly, but it was mostly women. I think one male victim. So my roommates and I, we would literally tie rope and twine and everything we could around our windows at night because we were so terrified that the Night Stalker would come and get us. So I'm thinking about this university campus, and if the police say, hey, it's targeted, they're like, okay, one of the girls had a stalker, so it's not going to be me. I can continue to go to my classes, I can call my parents, I can live my life. But when the police say it's not targeted, oh my God, this was a serial killer. He was looking through the windows. He was checking them to see if he was their type, because we know serial killers have types. And in this case, that the type could have been, white.
Hold on just a sec,
blonde.
Beth. Sydney, pull up for me a picture of Bundy's victims. I've seen and studied very carefully this menage of all the victims. And, oh, yeah, okay, I got it. I wanted to make sure I was talking about the right thing. Yeah, look at that one over at the right, Sid. They're all with the hair, the long straight hair parted in the middle, white females. Go ahead, Dr. Bethany.
Okay, so Bundy had a type, right? Mm-hmm. What if this is a serial killer whose type is blonde women, long curly hair, beautiful, wearing the hip jeans that young people wear these days. I've been looking at all their Instagram photos. Beautiful white teeth, friendly girls who kind of hug each other and sit on each other's lap, sleep in each other's beds because they're besties. The type is not just how they look, it's how they maneuver in society. It's how they relate, how they engage. He has formed relationships with these victims in his mind if he's been looking through their windows. So think about the mass hysteria that's taking place on this campus. Every young woman and man, because a young man was killed, is going to be thinking, is somebody looking through my window? Am I his type? What's on my Instagram? What is on my social media? Because serial killers don't just look through windows anymore, right? They can look at social media profiles. They can do all kinds of things. So I think in this moving from targeted to not targeted, the police are also saying, don't think it's just these girls or one girl who had a guy who had a strange fascination with her. It could be anyone. So the psychology on this campus, as you said, parents are going to want to be getting their kids home. They're not going to want to be there anymore.
Guys, take a listen to Brad Garrett, former FBI special agent, speaking to our friends at GMA.
If there's not an immediate connection, you have to go to sort of a wider circle. You would look at, for example, maybe or maybe not somebody older. I only suggest that because this crime appears to be very focused and the person had a comfort level in the house. And so as a result, you start looking at sort of relationships that really aren't tight with these kids. See, somebody they met occasionally, somebody that may have come to the house to attend a party. Apparently this was a big party house. And so that makes it more difficult. Less connections makes it more difficult many times to solve a crime.
He's so right. Let's listen to more of what Brad Garrett says.
If somebody that's done this before, I mean, people who do this kind of stuff get a big thrill out of doing it. Now, we don't know if it's that type of person, but that it could be something like that. The idea that you killed 4 people just tells me that this was sort of driven by something you intrinsically wanted to do, less so than maybe one student mad at another student.
Here's a dichotomy. Stephanie Pagonis, I see a conflict in rationale. Stephanie Pagonis, crime reporter with Fox News Digital. Hold on, let me see if I can verbalize this correctly. Okay. The fact that this person killed 4 innocent victims, generally in their sleep or in bed, would suggest it's not his first offense. You don't go from 0 to 120 mph just like that. On the other hand, we're not getting a hit in CODIS or APHIS. DNA repository, fingerprint repository, which, if there had been a conviction in the last 15, 20 years, he would be in that data bank. See what I mean? That is an inconsistency that must be analyzed and scrutinized very carefully. One, methodology would dictate this is not his first crime. But
that's why
he doesn't have a record. What?
That's why VICAP is important. That's the Bureau's Violent Apprehension Program that takes every one of these similar cases, puts them into a private database with the Bureau about knife, gun, weapon, location, all those things, to connect all these dots in a way that allows us to know that some guy in Southern California did this 2 years ago.
Or Stephanie Pagonis, it could be simply a matter. There may not be an inconsistency. It may be, it's very possible that the DNA fingerprints have not all been processed yet. So we don't know if there's a match in APHIS or CODIS.
Yes, that's correct. In fact, I just spoke to police yesterday who told me they had not received all of their crime lab results yet. They had received some and they had begun examining those results, but they were still receiving them. And I asked specifically about DNA and the presence of any foreign DNA, being that which belonged to, someone who wasn't the 4 victims or their 2 roommates. And police have not responded. They also have not responded to a question of whether any of these surviving roommates might have had another guest who was over at the time. So there are still questions out there regarding the DNA that was recovered from the crime scene. And whether police don't have the answer or whether they're choosing not to provide the answer is a different question in and of itself.
I don't think they've processed it yet. I don't mean haven't processed the home. I think they have done that and they're closing that down. But I don't think it's all been analyzed. Here's another thing that we're just learning. And anybody jump in, because I have some ideas about what this means forensically. And a lot of people are talking about the vigil today, and I appreciate that. But unless I can get evidence out of it, I'd rather forge forward on the probative value of any minute detail that could help catch the killer. We're learning that Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen were in the same bed on the top floor, level 3, Kaylee and Maddie. Second floor, Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle. They were together on the second floor, probably in the same bed. The survivors, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, were both sleeping on the first floor. That gives me a lot of information. That tells me why the survivors didn't hear anything. The 4 victims were sleeping in just 2 beds. They were all together in 2 different rooms on upper levels. No wonder they didn't hear anything. But Joe Scott Morgan, the fact that you've got 2 victims in one bed, we think 2 victims in another bed, that tells me something.
Yeah, it does. It tells you that they're not spread out over a large area. Okay,
He wasn't sneaking door to door like in a horror movie.
No. And if the perpetrator was targeting anybody, I hate to use that word now, but if they walk into the door,
it's radioactive to say that
it kind of is. It's a matter of convenience at that point in time, isn't it? Because you got the victims.
I still don't get something though, Joe Scott.
What's up?
You go in to one room. You find your victim. You killed 2 of them. Why do you go on up to the next floor? Why do you do that?
It seems risky to me. I was just actually talking about this with my wife over coffee this morning because, you've got
Bundy did it.
You're talking about the 2 victims downstairs that were not touched. Did this individual think that they were pushing the boundaries at that point in time, decided to get out? Because I think whoever did this had familiarity with the location. And so why would you go up a staircase and eradicate 2 other people?
Heard a dog barking. Jump in, Bethany.
Why are we assuming he went up the staircase? Perhaps he was hiding at the upper floor of the house.
Good point.
Del Carson brought that up
part
earlier.
of his creepy killing fantasy.
I am assuming that he went from one floor to the next, regardless of where he started.
And that is risky.
Why do you kill 2 people in bed and then go, hey, there's some more people to kill. I'll run down there. That's what Bundy did.
Well, because you have a lot of familiarity.
Killing people. Bundy had never been in the Chi Omega house before.
But
he knew there were a lot of girls in there.
When you look from the back of the property into the building, you only see 2 floors. And so if you're out there watching for a period of time...
Exactly. You may not have realized there was that bottom floor.
Yeah.
Hey, Haley, in the studio, can you show that 3 levels, what Del Carson's talking about? If you're on the sliding glass door level, that's your point of entry. You don't even see, I'm calling it the basement, but you've got a ground entrance to it. You don't even see that, so Carson could be right.
Going back to school as a working adult doesn't mean you have to sacrifice a high-quality education. Purdue University, ranked as a top 10 public university in the U.S. by the Wall Street Journal.
All right, we pause it there. We're gonna finish this podcast, but we also got other interesting clips to look at. Thank you everybody for being in the chat, and if you could hit the like button, please, I'd appreciate that. It helps out the stream, the algorithm. Subscribe if you aren't already. Also, make sure you check out Discord. Please check out our Discord server. Join up. We have a whole bunch of conversation, updates, everything, community, everything going on over there. You can join Discord for free, and also check out. We'll see. We'll do that in a bit, I guess. So, okay. Let me get the super chats real quick. Ones that I missed. Michelle, I put so Michelle says, where can I find the interview on Fox with Kaylee's dad? I put the Reddit link in the description, but I'm also told that there might be another link. So somebody's looking into it for me. Yeah, I'll put that in a bit too. I'll add the other link once I get the timestamp and stuff. The next thing, too many windows. What we got here? Okay. Amanda, thank you so much for the 9-month membership. Love, Mel. Love you too. Thank you so much. PJ Radio, thank you for the super chat. Says the part about he didn't have to go up the stairs. Is it possible the 2 victims on the 3rd floor is bad info? I don't think so. I still don't get that. People that are wondering about that, I'll play the short version, but we're going to watch the full version of this in a minute.
Into this community next year, or they don't. So I'm serious.
I had the opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Let's stop playing games, guys.
So, I mean, I don't know. It really is a curious thing that not only like what this, you see that guy, the PJ Radio said, he didn't have to go up the steps, but then he's like, let's stop playing games. I mean, I don't know if we're just reading too much into it, but it's like, you know, it's.
Autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one.
They don't match.
And Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. They're mad. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just going to say it.
Okay. Let's finish off this. The rest of the super chats too. Mandy, thank you so much. Mandy says it's Jack. Police say that it's not, but we're going to get into some other video clips from the family that talks about stuff. Patricia, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, Mel, I have multiple theories. Has anyone commented the car salesman? Nope. Nah, Michelle, Maddie, and Jack S were following each other on IG. Michelle, thank you for the super chat. Maddie and Jack S were following each other on IG, and her boyfriend Jack allegedly. Maddie and Jack S were following each other on IG, and her boyfriend Jake allegedly asked Jack S to keep an eye on her. Rumor not confirmed. Y'all also can people check if Jack S. and Dylan went to the same high school. I don't know. That I really don't know about. I've heard of things about people following each other, some people not following each other, but I don't know the fine details to that. Alexa, thank you so much for the super chat. It says a very credible psychic here on YouTube, Psychic LJ, said a jealous female and a young male is involved. Uh-oh. One of them are connected to someone who works at the university. Oh, shit. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Arkansas has become a member thing. Oh, yeah, I just put out a bunch of memberships back. Okay. Let's see here.
Took its innovative 170
possible, but Grand Canyon University thanks Grand Canyon.
Visit Bose.com.
Interviewed on Fox.
I'm pretty sure that this was a young male, somebody who could get into the house and get out in that neighborhood without being seen. I don't think it was two people, because the more people you have going into that house, the more likely it is that they were going to be seen. So I think it's one male, young enough to have been in that neighborhood. I think the potential is that they entered from the second floor because the first floor was never disturbed. And there's also a wooded area behind that house. But here's an important thing that I think people should realize. This is probably not the first time that this person did this.
Yeah, he's right. Or did something similar, some type of crime. To go
Nancy,
from, again, 0 to 120. Jump in, Joe Scott.
Okay. We know that two of the victims had been at a fraternity party. All right.
Yeah.
I checked this out. The distance from that particular fraternity house to the location of the crimes on foot, walking on a sidewalk, is half a mile. Did you know that from the location of the backside of the fraternity house to the location is about 200 yards? It's not that far away. And
I think go through the woods.
With fraternity parties, the way it works at, I'm a university professor, the way it works now is that you have to have a guest list of everybody that's going to come in.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
at
true
least at our university, and you can only get in.
You did see Animal House, right? If not, I
but
advise you to look
it's
at it
a
right
brave
now.
new world now, Nancy. They control the door at these points. And so you would have a guest list. I'd like to know if the party that they were having that night was a scheduled party, that it was approved by IFC or whoever it is, or if it was just a random gathering of people. Because this is significant, particularly when you're talking about, and we all know that this is
right
probably
there
unreal.
on Greek Row, which we pointed out on day one. I think I hear Stephanie Pagonis jumping in. Did you hear what he said? That if you cut through the woods, not stay on the sidewalk or the road, it's less than a football field length from the back of the fraternity houses to the murder house.
It absolutely is. And I would even venture to say, I'm sorry for cutting you off there, Joe Scott.
We don't care.
I would even venture to say it's less than 200 yards. I am here, and many students, in fact, even through the snow, will cross through. They won't take the sidewalks. They will cross right through the grass to go from one side to the other. Not only are there fraternity houses up there, but there's also at least one sorority house as well. And I actually walked from the crime scene to Sigma Chi, the fraternity house. And on my walk earlier this week, I could see only one surveillance camera on the street. But there's been a question of whether or not the camera was installed before this crime occurred or after, because we have heard that many have since been taking more precautions, such as installing surveillance devices.
Hey, guys, speaking of the whole... Was that Bethany? Go ahead.
Well, with the incels?
Yeah, hey, Bethany, take a listen to Jim Murray at Inside Edition. He's talking right to your point.
There has been a rash of killing sprees by incels. Elliot Rodger killed 6 and wounded 14 at the University of California, Santa Barbara campus in 2014. And pretty Idaho victims were also in sororities and posted rambunctious videos of life in their party house.
If you look at the online presence of incels in this country, they are very, very negative and hate-filled toward beautiful women in particular.
I spoke with Idaho State Police Communications Director Aaron Snell. Does an incel fit into the potential profile of this killer?
We are not speculating on that at this point in time.
when it comes available and when it's appropriate, we will release that information.
Okay, Dr. Bethany, do your thing.
Well, the idea of the incel is that there's involuntary celibacy, right? That he just can't get a girl. And because of that, he hates girls. He's jealous of anybody who can get a girl. But incels, the way they kill is sort of unique in that they do that fish in a barrel kind of shooting like we see in mass murders. They want to terrorize and take out as many people as possible. So on the one hand, these were beautiful young women and possibly one boyfriend of one of the girls. On the other hand, it was stealth. It was in the dark. No one else could see it. So there wasn't this glory mass shooting where the killer triumphs over everybody else, which I think is more the pattern of the incel. One of the ideas about the fraternity, you know, I keep thinking about BTK, not to lead us down the rabbit hole of other serial
Bind,
killers.
torture, kill, Dennis Rader, the dog catcher.
Yeah. This guy, which is really common with serial killers, was hiding in plain sight. He was married, had children, had a family vehicle, deacon at the local church. You know, he was sort of like the local dog.
Okay, Bethany, before you say another word, I can't believe you're bringing up Dennis Rader, bind, torture, kill.
Because
I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about Dennis Rader, bind, torture, kill, BTK.
Mm-hmm.
Money Move says, Mel, you shared an interview last week with two women being interviewed by Enton. I believe the female being interviewed had two black eyes, huge bruise on her head. I took a screenshot. Interested. You can email it to me if you like, iCkEdMeL@gmail.com. And I'll take a look at it. Let's see. Yeah, you can send it to me if you like. I haven't seen that.
Why did I wake up thinking about him in the middle of the night? What is connecting my mind with BTK to this? He quote, looking for fish the day of the double murders of Libby and Abby. So we go from the possibility of an incel to the awkward next door neighbor. Take a listen to Jeremy Regan, the law student who lives next door, talking to our friends at Court TV.
I'm naturally an awkward person.
And this is where everything's kind of recapped, everything we've seen already. Poor Jeremy. So we got to get into Jeremy too. He's done 3 other new interviews. And so let me see where pull it up here. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't do 3 other interviews. That'd be crazy. And there was a chase, but it looks like it got canceled. Guy was going 130 miles an hour. All right. Couple of things that I would like to show. Is this one of them?
Dozens of tips and crime scene pictures. Still no suspect in the murder of 4 Idaho college students stabbed in their sleep.
Jeremy.
Families mourning their loved ones while looking to the police for answers as agonizing weeks stretch on. News Nation's Brian Enton joining us live now from Moscow.
Now, apparently, Jay Hughes says it's incel only men. Well, the other day we were talking about that at the end of a stream, and apparently there's femcells too. It's kind of a more unpopular term, but apparently they got femcells. But incels only men. Yeah, incels for men, and then they got femcells too. But notoriously you hear about incels.
And Brian, some of these family members are frustrated. Are we any closer to a suspect than we were 3 weeks ago?
Unfortunately, not that we know of, Natasha. The latest we have heard from police is that there is still no known suspect and not even any persons of interest. The prosecutor told me this week they don't have any video of a suspect on camera, and they're still soliciting tips from the public now 3 weeks after the murders in the house behind me. You can see this is still a crime scene tape. The police department here has hired private security to keep an eye on the house at all times as the victims' families grow frustrated. I spoke with Kaylee Goncalves' family, her mom and dad and sister, who say they're just growing impatient and they want more information from the police. Is anyone acting differently since the murders? I mean, is there anyone that you have a weird feeling about that the girls knew or that comes to mind?
Yeah, I would say not in the immediate circle by any means, but
Okay, not in the immediate circle.
a few of the names that have been circulating around, I think it's hard not to kind of, dig into this. And I don't know how much of that is just because we have so little information from law enforcement and how much of it really is, a sister or a father's intuition.
Sister or father's intuition. So I wonder if they suspect somebody. So not in the inner circle, they feel, but they also feel that like people have been ruled out too fast. I'm gonna play that again. That portion.
Is anyone acting differently since the murders? I mean, is there anyone that you have a weird feeling about that the girls knew or that comes to mind?
Yeah, I would say not in the immediate circle by any means, but a few of the names that have been circulating around, I think it's hard not to kind of, dig into this. And I don't know how much of that is just because we have so little information from law enforcement and how much of it really is, a sister or a father's intuition.
Can you elaborate at all? I don't know. You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that she knew or?
I have something to say about that. I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe shouldn't have been. And yeah.
Share the strong alibi.
Just really fast.
If you can dismiss.
An hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know. I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know they were people that, definitely should have been looked at. And yeah.
I don't know what would prevent you from sharing somebody's alibi.
Yeah.
Whose alibi are they talking about?
A couple individuals. I have something to say about that.
Can you elaborate at all? I don't know. You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that she knew or?
I have something to say about that. I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe shouldn't have been. And yeah.
Share the strong alibi.
Just really fast.
If you can dismiss.
An hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know. I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know they were people that, definitely should have been looked at. And yeah.
I don't know what would prevent you from sharing somebody's alibi.
Yeah, I think that's what we're struggling with. So it's like, we know what we know. We've, fought for Jack, Kaylee's boyfriend, and, we still stand that way. So I did just kind of want to clear that up while we're talking through this ambiguity that, that's not what we're honing in on here.
We don't want to make more victims out of innocent people.
Exactly.
We definitely don't want to do that.
And so what the family is talking about is there's been a number of people involved who police have said have been cleared at this point. The family is saying they want to know what the specific alibis are. They want to know the evidence and proof of why police cleared those people. Also, Xana Kernodle, that's another one of the victims. For the first time, her mom spoke out last night to Ashley Banfield. Something very interesting. She revealed that Xana's father was actually at this house within a week of the murders. Listen to what she said.
Her father mentioned to me that he had just went and replaced the lock the weekend before.
You said her father mentioned to you that they had replaced the lock?
Yes, that he had fixed it or something. But yeah, he said that he had fixed it the week before, just to make sure.
The week before.
It's interesting because the way this house is set up behind me, there's a coded lock on the front door, and then we're told the bedrooms, at least most of them, have individual coded locks into the bedrooms. So the fact that her father changed the lock is interesting. We're trying to figure out how the killer got into these rooms. Were the doors open or were they closed? All of that still under investigation. Natasha?
All right, Brian Enton live for us in Moscow.
Yeah, well, the doors open or closed. Was the code used or not? Maybe it was just left open.
Idaho, thank you.
Let me get to some of the other clips here that we got. Is this the same one? Oh, that's the same one. Okay. So we got that one. Still some more stuff here. Okay. Let's listen to the full interview. I haven't heard this yet. And then we'll also get to the Fox thing after, too.
Xana Kernodle's mom, Kara Denise Northington, is on the phone with me now. Kara, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Can I just ask you off the bat how you are getting by in this terribly sorrowful time?
Not very easily, not good.
I mean, I don't know what to say to that.
I can't even imagine the pain that you and your family are going through. Have the police been helpful to you, Kara, to understand some of the things they can and can't say?
You know, honestly, no. Honestly, no. They haven't said anything. I learn more on the news and on TV than they have said to me.
Have you had a chance to talk with some of the other parents of the other 3 kids who were there that night and share information amongst yourselves?
Not really, honestly. I've just been dealing with my family, and we've just been absorbing this shock.
Can you tell me, Kara, what you do know about this terrible night?
Well, what I do know is not nearly enough. We need more answers. There is, you know, there is so much more that can be done that has not been done. And I just know that there's GPS, NASA, to find out who went into that home that night. I know that. Why hasn't that been looked into? Why hasn't that been accessed?
Kara, can I ask you that there is a mysterious sort of 4-hour and 45-minute block of time that's unaccounted for by the police timeline. The police say that your daughter Xana and her boyfriend Ethan were at the Sigma Chi house from 8 until 9 p.m., but then they don't have any information on where they were from 9 p.m. till 1:45 a.m. Do you know anything about that from either your information from the police or Ethan's family or anybody?
I may be candid in saying this, but I think that they were at a bar.
And where do you get that information from? Did someone tell?
So from what I heard, because I'm multitasking, but so that time gap they're talking about, she's not sure, but she heard that, or she thinks that they were at a bar.
Tell you that they'd gone from the Sigma Chi house to a bar before they ended up home?
That's what their father conveyed to me, that he thought that they were at the bar that night. So, yeah. I mean, that's what college kids do on the weekends. So.
But you don't know for sure that they left the Sigma Chi house, went to a bar? Okay.
I don't know for sure, absolutely not.
And have the police asked you any questions about where Xana might have been, or if she texted you, or if she had, if she'd communicated with any family members in that period of time?
No, no answers whatsoever. Whatsoever, really. I asked the investigators when they come and spoke to me. They were not able to offer me any answers. None.
Can I ask you, Xana's sister Jasmine has put such a beautiful tribute to Xana on her Instagram. And I wonder if she has any additional information, just perhaps from being able to access her sister's social media or her phone. Has Jasmine been able to ascertain any other details of what happened that night, or where Xana and Ethan were that night?
No, I'm not going to speak for Jasmine. You would have to ask her that yourself. And she's going through it right now without her sister. And I'm sure if she had any answers or any information, she's already conveyed that to the investigators.
May I ask you if you can confirm that Xana's room was on the second floor of the house?
Yes, I can confirm that. And,
and was it on? Sorry?
I just had a question about the other 2 roommates who were there on the first floor. And I just wonder, wasn't something heard, or, the surviving roommates that were there, they had to have heard something. They had to have, the dog, something.
I can help you with that somewhat. There is information from a prior tenant who lived on the first floor, who said when he lived there in 2019, he moved out. He said he could never hear anything on the second or third floor. If the television was playing very loudly on the second floor, he might hear it from the first floor. And I don't know if that helps you to understand.
The dog heard it, and the dog had to have been barking. You know,
I have information there as well. I've got information there as well. Our Brian Enton spoke with the parents of Kaylee Goncalves, and they have actually referred to that. And Brian's going to play that interview in a moment. But Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen on that first floor may not have been able to hear anything, according to the prior tenant, who said it was extremely difficult to hear because of the construction of that house. But I do want to ask you, if I can, Kara, was your daughter Xana's room on the right side of the house if you're looking from the parking lot, or on the left side across from the kitchen?
I can't answer that. I can't.
But you do know she was on the...
I never went there yet, so I don't know.
But you know she was on the second floor. Do you know if she looked out the front of the house or the back of the house?
I believe in the front, but I can't confirm. Like I said, I haven't been down to visit it yet. So I tried to go last month, but she was in class while I was down there. So.
Okay, our viewers are looking at the front of the house right now, and the window that I'm referring to is on the second story
to the right,
in the front of the house, and that's where we are, triangulating that perhaps that's where Xana and Ethan were that night.
Because this would have been where that picture of the blood, it would have been on this side right there. Pretty sure that's the room, and that's where she was at. I mean, I thought they've stated that before.
I do want to ask you if you know whether or not Xana had a lock on her bedroom door.
I believe she did, yes.
Do you know if it was a lock that was a code that you would punch in on the bedroom door? The prior tenant who used to live there said that every one of the doors in that home, all 6 bedrooms, were rented separately like apartments, and they all had coded locks. But lots of social media pictures have shown at least one of the locks on the door across from the kitchen on the second floor. It didn't appear to have a coded lock. But do you think that Xana's room had a coded lock?
I believe it did. Her father mentioned to me that he had just went and replaced the lock the weekend before.
You said her father mentioned to you that they had replaced the lock?
Yes, that he had fixed it or something. But yeah, he said that he had fixed it the week before, just to make sure.
The week before.
Yeah.
So then that's the lock on her own bedroom door, not the lock to the outside of the house. That's her own bedroom door's lock?
In the main lock he was referring to. I'm not sure. Just from him telling me that when we were speaking. So.
But you're talking about Jeff, right? Jeff Kernodle, Xana's dad?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
And he had been there just a couple weeks before working on a lock, but you're not sure what door.
Just the weekend before, and he went to me.
Just the weekend before that, Xana's father had been there working or fixing the lock on the door. The mother believes so the mother says she hasn't even been there yet. She hasn't had a chance to been there, so I guess she doesn't really know the situation really about the rooms and the locks. And that prior tenant, I think that prior tenant was there in 2019 or something like that. I think it was prior tenant. And so, I mean, he speaks to the noise that you really can't hear anything unless the TV is really, really loud. And so that goes to say that the roommates probably didn't hear anything. And also, I mean, I don't know about the dog. So.
Even parents and, went to check on Xana, and it was Dad Week at WSU for Jasmine, so he was over there, and they're pretty close schools. Pullman and Moscow are fairly short distance away from each other.
Did Xana's car have Arizona plates?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
And she used to live in Arizona, though, right?
I believe she got the car in Arizona, so that's highly likely, yes.
Do you know what kind of car she was driving?
I don't.
And you mentioned about the roommates, the surviving roommates. Have you had any opportunity to contact them? Do you or Jeff or Xana's sister, Jasmine, do you have their contact information? Are you able to call them to talk to them?
Jasmine and Jeff are in contact with them, yes. They were all at the memorial today. And yeah.
And what did...
And Mary P says, a member says, what about the owner of the house? Has he been spoken to or talked about? Since we're to replace locks, maybe he was doing shady stuff. I don't know anything about the owner. I know Sylvia was kind of asking me about that too, like about the owner and stuff like that. I would think police had spoken to that person, but I haven't heard any reports about it or seen any reports about it.
What did those girls, Bethany and Dylan, say to Xana's dad and her sister about that morning when they woke up and came upstairs? What did they tell Jeff and Jasmine?
I don't know. You would have to ask them that. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I'm sorry.
Do you know, Kara, if Dylan and Bethany came upstairs and were trying to wake Xana? Because they were trying to wake one of their roommates. Do you know if it was your daughter they were trying to wake?
I don't have that answer either. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And did they say that they could not get beyond a locked door, and that's why they had no idea what was on the other side of the bedroom door and called in an unconscious person?
I believe that's right.
What do you know about that?
That they called in an unconscious person. I know that. But beyond that, I don't know.
So it's hard for you to understand as well why, if there was such a terrible crime that had been committed, the roommates might not have seen the evidence of that crime.
Absolutely, yes.
No.
Have they told you at all, Kara, when you can retrieve your daughter's things from that house?
Not yet, no.
I want to ask you, if you can for us, Kara, about Xana. What would you like people to know about your daughter? We've seen pictures and we've seen social media, but you know her heart. What would you like everyone to know about her?
Xana, if you knew Xana, you knew what a light she was to everybody she came across. She was just such a positive influence on everybody around her. I honestly, and I'm not saying this because I'm her mother and biased, it's just the truth. There's nothing negative you could say about her. She was just such a good soul. And she cared. She deeply cared about her friends and her family. And she would never hurt anybody. I don't understand who would want to do anything to any of these kids. They were all great, great kids, and they were all good friends, lifelong friends, even, aside from Ethan. And Ethan was such a great kid, too. No parent should ever go through this. These kids were good kids. I don't understand.
Have you had a chance?
Who would want to do this.
Have you had a chance to speak with Ethan's parents?
No, not yet.
Are you going to have a chance to speak with them?
I'm sure I will, yes.
I do have another question, and that is what we are all trying to figure out, what the police mean when they say they believe this was a targeted attack. They've gone back and forth about whether it was the kids inside the house or the house, and now they've really rested on the statement that they believe it's a targeted attack. They don't know if it's the kids or the home itself that was targeted. But do you have any thoughts at all about why that house might be targeted, or why any of the 5 roommates might be targeted?
I do not think it was the house that was targeted. I believe wholeheartedly that it was those kids who were targeted. They weren't just acquaintances. These kids were like best friends. They practically were family. These kids were tight knit. They were good friends. They were like family. They were around each other constantly. They did everything together. How could it not be a planned thing? You know, how could it not have been targeted? For all four of them.
Do you know, Kara, do you know anything about Kaylee moving out? Do you know if she had already moved out of the house when this happened, or was she in the process of moving out because she was graduating in the new year?
Again, that's not a question for me. You may ask her family that. I'm not going to speak for her. I'm sorry.
I think the reason I ask is because I'm just wondering if her room was vacant, if the furniture was gone.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Right. Do you also know anything about? Did Xana ever say anything about problems at the campus? Maybe talk of a stalker. There's been talk that maybe Kaylee had a stalker. Her dad said that Kaylee had told him that she had a stalker or a problem with a stalker. The police haven't been able to run anything down, but did Xana ever say anything?
Kaylee was an absolute beautiful, beautiful girl. And wouldn't surprise me if all of these beautiful kids that we lost had stalkers, okay? They were all like rock stars on Instagram and all the social media. They're vibrant, outgoing kids. You can hardly be on social media anymore without gaining some kind of weird stalker. So that wouldn't surprise me. I don't think that that's what it was, though. I will be honest with you. I think it's closer than that. I think it's deeper than that. I think I think they have information that they're not giving us, and it's real fishy. That's what I will say.
When you say you think it goes deeper than that, what do you mean?
I mean, I think it was somebody closer than a stalker, and I don't know who. I'm not gonna specify anything like that. I'm just going to say I think that it's somebody, you know, and I think possibly they may have trusted. That's the only thing I can think of, because how could something like this happen so quickly, so quietly, so without any answer, unless it was somebody super close to them. You know what I mean?
Do you think the person who did this had been in that house before?
I think they knew them. I think they may have even been friends with them. I think it had to have been somebody close to them to have been able to get away with it like this. Just without, you know, it just doesn't make sense. None of this makes any sense. It had to have been somebody they trusted that was, you know what I mean? I mean, somebody who knew the house well, somebody who knew them well.
Kara, I cannot tell you how...
So quickly, without a trace on.
I can't tell you just how sorry I am for what you're going through, and the parents of the other kids. I said it before, I'll say it again, it's unimaginable. Just know that there are hundreds of thousands of people across this country tonight who are feeling for you as well. You know, in spirit, you are not alone. There are a lot of people who care deeply for you and your family, and they want justice for your daughter.
I know, and I thank everyone so much for that. Xana's death will not be in vain. We are going to find who did this. I will not take my final breath until this person is found and brought to justice for these kids, not just my daughter, but these kids and their families and their friends. We all deserve answers, and the person needs to be brought to justice.
I wish you and your family peace of mind, and I hope that we can, you know, bring you answers soon. Kara, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for telling us your story tonight, and we'll continue to highlight Xana's story as well and her beautiful life, as you mentioned. It's very evident on Instagram and social media just how vibrant she was and how beautiful she was, and she made a mark on this world while she was here. Thank you so much, Kara, for being with us tonight.
Can I say one last thing?
Yes.
If any, there is someone out there. There is someone out there. I know there is that has answers. Please, please, we all beg you. Please, don't be afraid. Please, just tell somebody. We deserve that much. Please.
I think you're absolutely right. Someone out there knows something. And it behooves anybody with any small detail even to come forward and tell the police what you know. It could be the smallest piece to the puzzle.
Even if you think it's nothing, it is something. I promise you, it's something. Because right now we have nothing.
Kara Denise Northington, thank you for being with us. I think, you know, maybe we can talk again as we all plod through this investigation and the developments. But I'll repeat it. I do wish you peace and serenity in this very difficult time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find.
Yeah. Oh, it's rough. All right. So the next thing, a couple things still that I wanted to show. And she seems like, mom seems like she's kind of like really out of the loop of what's going on, you know? And she's looking for answers and even asking Banfield, you know, for answers. This was investigators leaving the house in Moscow, Idaho, a short time ago. They were carrying several paper bags. The last bag looks wet in the bottom. Last guy walking out. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if that's just the lighting and the bag folding in or if it's actually wet or not. Could be. It's just the lighting. I think it's just the actual lighting of the bag, the shadowing. You know. And once you get up to that part, maybe it looks like that, but it's not like that. Maybe some about this one. No. Yeah. I don't think so. All right, let me get the super chats. We got some other video clips to show you as well. A couple of them. Let's see. Keep looking up says, and thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the later live tonight. No, thank you guys for being here. I'm surprised. I didn't expect the turnout this late. Well, for me, it's a little bit late. Melissa, thank you for the super chat. Says, pray the way you pray, but pray these people get justice. Most said. Southern Mom, thank you for the super chat. Saw a video, odd post by the user ending in 6. What's with the number 6? GoFundMe equals $6. Address equals 1122, which I guess is 6. And the date 113. Oh, sorry. 11/1. I can't even do it. 11/13. Numbers added equals 6. Weird. It's in the numbers. People that are into numerology. And the date. That's a new one I haven't seen. I've seen people talk about the $6 GoFundMe and talk about the numbers of 6. And I've seen them go the 1122. So that's 6. The date is the first one that I've seen, the 1113. And then I heard people saying too there was 6 people in the house. That's another 6. Arkansas, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, y'all just pray. You're never in this mom's shoes. Pray for them. True. I can't believe that. Yeah, this person is still gone too. Like it's still, to me, is like they don't have much, or they're waiting to get more evidence processed back. You know, because some people were saying that they know who it is and they're just waiting or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know about that. Kaylee Goncalves family says they don't know where her dog Murphy was found in the house. They say he was not a barker and likely would have hid during the attack. Okay.
I don't know where the dog was found. I've asked and they won't give that answer. So.
And the dog going to the Humane Society.
Yeah, we do know that he wound up going there, but just where he was found in the home.
But I mean, could he have had blood on him?
That's the question. We don't know.
We'll never know.
Could he have jumped on
That
them
chain's
and
been broke.
scratched them, and because he was a jumper? Could that person have hair on him? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was he a barker?
Nope. Not at all. Murphy was actually, he's still kind of a puppy. He just recently is turning one.
He'll be one on the 27th.
Yeah, so I mean, he was pretty young, and he was used to people, you know, being around a lot. He lived with 5 girls.
Do you think if a stranger came in, he would have caused a ruckus?
No. I don't believe so. I honestly think, if anything, he
He's just
probably
a
would have
goofy-
hid.
Yeah, he's a big goofy dog.
You know, we.
I mean, I saw that chase too, where the dog didn't seem like he did anything. Where somebody broke into the house and then even stole the vehicle, and the dog, I think the dog ran after the car or something after. Or we even saw the one chase where the canine was running after the person jumps in the vehicle, and the canine runs past the vehicle. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then it's like after the guy jumps down because the cop pulls a gun, then that's when the dog kind of realized, way after the fact. So, I mean, that's kind of a different situation. But yeah, not all dogs are barkers, I guess. Murphy is now with Kaylee's boyfriend. We know that. The media has been following him around and taking pictures when he walks the dog. Murphy just went to the Humane Society initially when police responded, but the family is concerned Murphy may have had evidence on him that was not analyzed. Damn. Okay, another clip. Let's see. Let me do this one too.
Community has been.
So this one we just need to watch, I think, 8 minutes.
Left in limbo, left with more confusion and more questions. We are on the hunt for answers for them. Moscow deserves answers. The students of the university deserve answers. These 4 young innocent victims deserve answers, and so do their families. So let's start there. Joining me now on set, the parents of Kaylee Goncalves, Christy and Steve Goncalves. Thank y'all so much for being with me. You guys have been so transparent and strong for the public. Christy, you called the person that did this the boogeyman.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
It's literally like what nightmares are made of. Like when you're a little kid and you think of the boogeyman, that's just how I feel. Like that's just the horrific details of everything. Them just having a good time, going home and going to bed, and this happening to them.
Your best friend crawling into bed.
Just crawling in bed.
Every
and
girl
the
in
boogeyman
America
comes.
knows what that's
The
like.
boogeyman doesn't, you know, meet you at McDonald's. I mean, the boogeyman comes and snatches you out of your bedroom.
Steve, we've been talking. I've been talking to folks in the community. You said something that stuck with me. You said, until this person is caught, you can't sleep in your bed.
No. I can't just lay in my bed and do nothing. That's not the way I raised my family. That's not the way I raised my girls and my son. You don't be a victim. You stand up for yourself and you do everything in your power to make sure people hear you. And they're gonna hear Kaylee. They're gonna hear Maddie. They're gonna hear these.
The other 2 as well.
Yes. I'm careful saying anything about them because I need to be careful because I can't speak on somebody else's child. But these 2 girls, I'm not trying to be a glory hound, but these 2 girls, I'm going to do what I can do, and we're not being victims. We're going to fight. We're going to figure out how to make sure that we hold everybody, accountable, and we keep eyes and attention on this and get this thing resolved.
Steve, you have made it very clear to our audience that you are supportive of law enforcement. You support the investigation. But recently, I've been watching and talking with you, and you're getting frustrated. What does that frustration come from, sir?
they put certain people between you and the officers that are making things happen. And those people are like lawyers, and they don't want to say anything, and they don't have the guts to come up and be alpha and be like leaders and say, hey, we might say something that's wrong. We're going to take that hit. So the officers, they look me straight in their eyes. The lead detective looked me in his eyes. I have no doubt he's working as hard as he can. But somebody isn't communicating. There's nothing being released. It seems like they're trying to suppress the story. We want to put rewards out. They're like, don't do that. Yeah, I get it. Your town doesn't want to have reward posters posted all over when you come and you do your rush.
I mean, let's see that right there.
To suppress the story. We want to put rewards out. They're like, don't do that.
And that's the thing, like, because a lot of people have been asking, and even Sylvia kept asking me about the whole reward thing. Like, why is there no reward? I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of strange. Like, not even something. A reward, and I guess police maybe are telling them not to do it. I mean, according to this,
they're trying to suppress the story. We want to put rewards out. They're like, don't do that. Yeah, I get it. Your town doesn't want to have reward posters posted all over when you come and you do your rush. You're not going to get a lot of students if they see those things. But this community is not going to heal until this guy's pulled off the streets. It ain't going to happen. Think it through. It's not going to happen. He has to be off the streets. We all are working for the same thing.
When was the last time y'all heard from the police?
Thursday,
we looked at our phone records. We want to be accurate. We don't want to sell anyone out.
About 3 o'clock on Thursday.
And did y'all get an update from the police about the investigation?
There was nothing. We have no updates for you.
There was no update. They needed me to sign a waiver form so that they could investigate something.
Some mail.
That was mail related. So we're working with them. We're not selling them out. We love our law support.
The FBI, everybody that's here. We just have no information as family, and it gets tough day after day after day. I mean, every day you just wake up and think today's the day. We're going to hear something, and you see these, there's a break in the case, and it'll just be something stupid.
The sixth person on the lease that was never there. Stop playing games. This is serious. These are people's lives, and this is the future of this community. There's going to be 10,000, 15,000 kids that come into this community next year, or they don't. So be serious.
I had the opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse her back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
And Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader.
And that's the thing. I wonder what he meant by, like, he doesn't have to go up the steps. I don't know. And the cause of death don't match. I understand that. So he obviously, they believe it's targeted. The points of damage don't match.
Games, guys.
Okay, that one of them.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral.
He doesn't have to go up the steps.
Paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill.
Oh, shit. Hold on. We got to listen to that again. Wow. So this is the full clip of what we were watching earlier. We just saw a snippet on Reddit. Fresh just sent me the full clip to this.
Means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
And Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go
have
up
been
the
target.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do
Steps of hierarchy that people are sending in chat.
it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill. Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in the box, and I can speak on that.
Ooh.
I was also told from sources that are closer to an investigation, because there was a lot of roommates in there. And this was horrific for those roommates that were there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The preservation of this crime scene. Witnesses tell me that it may have well been preserved because the phone was passed around between one of the fraternity members and the girls. One of them unfortunately witnessed the death, the body there. Can you confirm that?
We cannot actually. We know nothing about that whole phone call. We've asked, and it's, I mean, I know that a lot of people want to know, but that's just not our agenda. We just are like, somebody called 911, somebody was reported unconscious. We don't really know. I mean, we've heard so many different things, and nothing has been clarified or been told to us at all. And I mean, I don't know if I personally have asked anything about that. I don't know if you have asked that, but we know that this is getting 3 weeks in, and it's starting to get, we don't want it to go cold. We're reaching out. I've reached out to friends down in California today.
Let me get this super chat real quick. Technical, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, as I've said, I think the no steps comment meant all 4 students were on the 2nd floor, a pair in each bedroom. But I thought police confirmed 2nd and 3rd floor, that that's where the 2 bodies on the 2nd and 2 bodies on the 3rd. I don't know, because then I heard people say that maybe he was just saying chain of command is what he was saying, like to go up, take it further, which I don't know where up further he would go. I mean, I guess beyond the PD, because I know FBI is there, but is he going to be able to talk directly to FBI? I don't know. Melissa says maybe the targeted ones were on the 2nd floor, and maybe that's a good point. That could be it. Melissa says, thank you for the super chat. Maybe the targeted ones were on the 2nd floor, and he is saying the killer didn't have to go upstairs. Okay, that could be it too. Yeah, that one seems more plausible to me.
That have connections that we're hoping to raise some money to get a reward, to get a private investigator.
Third party.
Why go the private route? Do y'all worry that at the end of this week that this case may be
100%.
cold?
We're scared.
When you tell me you don't want a photo up there with the reward offering information, that kind of sounds like you're trying to like suppress the story. I mean, why do you not need help? But hey, I could be wrong, and you officers, I apologize if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I want to. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. But if you don't have the information, people do know. If they don't, then you know the community. This is a community that is IT based. These guys live a digital footprint like we've never. All of us older people, we don't know how much that digital footprint could be helpful. So that's what we ask for. I hope like a DNA. Family lineage, if they could come out here and just start taking, this town is not that big. We could figure out this, and it might not be him. It might be a family member. We have family all going to the school together. You know, there's cousins, there's aunts, there's uncles. We could find this guy just with volunteers.
Lineage companies were,
Put Idaho on the map.
Christy, Steve, we're going to stay on this case.
Thank you.
We're not going anywhere.
Thank you.
You guys have been candid with us. We'll keep asking questions. Any resource that we have available, our audience is praying for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. It was big for you guys to come back to Moscow tonight. I know it took a lot of courage.
And they're right in front of the police department.
To do it. And I'm hoping we can get some answers for you. Thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Here now, one of the most respected forensic experts,
Wow. Pretty intense. As a dad, I mean, he's got to be frustrated. And, I mean, he said a lot in that interview. I mean,
so it's pretty sad, but I came back because I still want to.
Thank you so much. I was a young man who was good friends with Ethan Chapin, and he told me what it's been like to face this tragic loss. Watch.
I knew Ethan and Xana.
What do you remember about them?
They were really good people. I always loved seeing them whenever they were around campus. Ethan was a good friend of mine, so it's pretty sad. But I came back because I still want to keep pursuing my dreams. But you know, it's definitely a lot hard for people to come back, especially after that.
Yeah. Do you think it's brought the community, this university, closer together, or has it fractured the campus?
I mean, I would definitely say it fractured it, as, you know, not a lot of people are here.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's brought us together, especially just the Moscow community and Idaho in general.
How do you feel about them not catching the person that did this? Is that completely shocking to you right now? Or?
I mean, given the little amount of evidence that they have and have found, it's not too surprising that they haven't found the suspect, but it's still just disheartening. Just
tragic. Joining me now, former inspector for the NYPD, Paul Morrow. Paul, you've been going through the crime scene with me. You've been talking with sources with me. One of the things that struck me this week is the back and forth. And you heard the passionate interview from those families. They're desperate. But when you have a prosecutor that is saying one thing, and the police department saying one thing, why does that happen? You're a lawyer and a cop. Explain to us what that means.
So the reason this matters is there's a couple of things. First of all, the optic is that the two offices are not on the same page, right? And so there's the public confidence issue. Personally, I'm more concerned with the idea that, does that mean that operationally they're not lashed up together? A long-term investigation like this, you need the prosecutor with you as a investigating officer. They're gonna have to do search warrants. They're gonna have to do subpoenas. They're gonna have to drop all kinds of legal process on cyber stuff. Some of the stuff that Mr. Goncalves spoke about. You got to dump the phones, you got to dump the Wi-Fi, you got to dump the cloud, you got to go for the financial investigations. All of that stuff needs legal process. The prosecutors bring that investigatory power to the table. They're a great ally. And you just hope that they're both singing from the same sheet of music.
So I want to put up this statement up on the screen, and you really brought this to my attention. The police department released a statement saying that the official responses will only come from them.
Right.
But the prosecutor is the chief law enforcement officer for the county. They are going to be the ones that, when we catch this madman, hopefully, they're going to have to try that in court. So do you read anything into that statement where they say every official statement comes from them and not the prosecutor?
Hopefully not, but that's where this optic is coming from. The thing is, as an investigator, the human impulse, and this is very true for cops, they want to put their case together by themselves, put it in a nice, neat bow, bring it to the prosecutor's office, drop it on the desk, and that's how it goes to court. I learned a long time ago, early in my career, having that prosecutor with you the whole time, from the beginning, or as early as possible, especially in a complex case that's going to be ongoing, it's going to save you a lot of grief. The risk is to show up at the prosecutor's office on the last day, here's the case, and to find out this is inadmissible, you did this wrong. That's the last thing you want. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's happening here. You and I have made great pains to say that some of the PR struggles in this case don't necessarily equate to operational struggles. And that could be the case here as well. You just hope that they're really operating, again, off of the same sheet of music. They're all pulling together on the same investigation.
Real quickly, Paul, because we got to go, but the parents, you heard them, they say they may go the private route now.
Yeah.
Is that typical in a case of this magnitude?
I haven't seen it. I'm not sure when you consider the fact that you have something like 40 FBI agents, you have all this help from the Idaho State PD. Obviously, the Moscow PD is in this thing as full-blown as far as they could go. I'm not sure what a private investigator is going to be able to bring to the table from outside of this. But look, I understand the families are very, very concerned. They've taken this terrible hit. And I just hope that this gets solved for their sake sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Paul Morrow, you've been great. You've been a great contributor for LJ.
All right, let me get some more of the chats. I think there's one more portion of this I could listen to as well. Paul K says, finally live, what about Xana's mom and drug arrest? I mean, I've heard people talk about that, and police have said that I think they've said multiple times they don't believe there's anything to do with drugs, this murder situation, I think I've heard that multiple times. And I think the official website, I'm not surprised, I don't have it up right now, but the official website, I believe they addressed that too, or some interviews I thought they have addressed that. Let's see. And I never really looked into it far myself. I know one was like after, and honestly, man, like if that happened to my kid, shit, man, I'd probably be on stuff too, or drinking or whatever. I don't know, I don't know if they have it here. There's a bunch of stuff they have addressed. All right, I guess if somebody could find it. I know I've seen it somewhere, or an interview or somewhere they've said that has nothing to do with that. Let's see, the next thing. DS, thank you so much for the super chat. Dear Lord, I pray for these families to give them strength through this. Melissa, thank you for that super chat. Don, thank you for the super chat. Karen, thank you for the super chat. Says, I think he's saying 2 killers. Didn't have to go because one was on the 2nd floor and one was on the 3rd floor, killed at the same time. Didn't match because 2 killers. And that's an interesting theory too, as far as what the father was saying, that he didn't have to go upstairs. But people, we saw now through the stream that that saying was interpreted multiple ways. That's sort of really nobody's fault. It's the way he's saying things, and I guess he's trying to like avoid saying certain things, so he has to be vague. Even though with other things he's being super direct. He's like, I'll say it, because I just can't imagine, be probably frustrated as hell. Things are maybe not moving or progressing, and I don't know. Gotta be really frustrating.
Cross country. Wanted to talk to those students and figure out why they decided to come back. Their concerns for safety. Did they want to just finish their classes? Were their parents concerned? This is what they had to tell me. Watch. You're close by where the house was.
Yes.
And you're with your partner. You got a text from the university?
Yes, we got a vandal alert saying that there had been a homicide, and originally they didn't state how many victims. And then we got another alert, I want to say it was about an hour later, saying that it was a quadruple homicide, but that the threat was cleared, and so we were all really freaked out after that.
What made you decide to come back?
Because, the police are doing their jobs, and there's a lot more security, so I feel a lot more safer around.
After that murder, we are really scared to go outside of the university. Inside the university, we don't feel any kind of threats or something like that, because we have people moving here and there.
We just want justice and to make sure everybody can feel safe.
I feel for their families, and I really hope that
they can catch this guy.
Yeah.
Hope they get answers.
How do you feel about them not even having a suspect or a person of interest?
Makes me very nervous.
Yeah.
Very nervous. I'm just hoping that they have someone in mind.
Hopefully the guy can get caught.
Yeah.
Or whoever did it.
Do you have any hope that he will get caught?
Yeah, I do. I have hope. I mean, the police are doing their job, and that's what you can ask them. I mean, things like this take a long time.
So obviously those kids are very resilient, and they're just trying to finish up the rest of this semester. Joining me right now, Julia Parker. She's a member of the Moscow City Council. You just heard from those students. They told me there's a big presence on the campus. You guys haven't had a murder in this town since 2015.
That's right.
What's been the mood in this community? People didn't lock their doors before, but now they're calling the local locksmith. It's not even enough manpower to go put locks on these doors.
Yeah, I've heard that story as well, that the locksmiths are a little overwhelmed.
Wow.
I think that it's been such a safe community, and we don't worry a lot about our safety. And, you know, sometimes maybe we should be more careful because you never know. And it's good to just protect yourself, at least to some degree. But it has been nice to live in a community where you don't worry every day about your safety.
I just had the parents of Kaylee Goncalves, godparents of Maddie. They're concerned about the pace of the investigation and getting answers. As someone that has oversight of this police department, what can you tell us about the men and women that are trying to solve this case? Do you have full confidence that they're going to be able to get the job done?
I do. We may be a small town, but I have faith in our police force, and they're well trained and they're very professional. I know that people feel like we're kind of in the middle of nowhere out here, but we do have a really good community. We have a really strong professional presence in terms of the city. And I think that our Moscow police force will do really well. And I also think that the help from the Idaho State Police and the FBI are invaluable. And we're also really grateful that the governor has allocated $1 million to this investigation so that we can do as much as we can.
When you hear people say that they believe that this may be potentially a cold case, when you hear the back and forth of statements between the prosecutor's office and the police, how do you ensure confidence to the residents here and the students that, you know, roaming the campus, may want to go out and still have a drink with their friends?
Sure. Well, like I said, I do have faith in our police force and our prosecuting attorney. We don't do this here.
Yeah.
You know, of course we're going to misspeak. You know, I'm not on Fox News every week. I'm not a big city council person, and so I understand that people are a little frustrated with some of the stumbles in terms of what people have said, but I just ask us all to give each other some grace. These are your neighbors. These are your kids' coaches. You know, we are a tight-knit community, and we just all need a little grace right now.
Ma'am, thank you so much. You've been so gracious with your time.
Thank
and
you.
we appreciate you coming on Fox News tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. So still ahead, we dig into the protocols of a homicide.
Are they just replaying this?
I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps.
Being taken and what needs to happen going forward. We discuss that more on Cross Country. Don't go anywhere.
Need somebody to step up and be an outfit. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. They're mad.
Maybe he's just talking about whoever. I don't know if he's talking about somebody specifically.
Somebody step up and be an outfit. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it.
But he's talking about maybe him just stepping up.
I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match.
But then he's also talking about the points of damage.
I'm just going to say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking.
So is he basing? See, this is what I'm saying. It's like kind of he's talking about the funeral, and he's saying, so he said it wasn't leaked.
I earned that. Damage don't match. I don't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. Wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I
Wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for the funeral.
paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill. Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in the box, and I can speak on that.
That was Steve Goncalves passionately talking about the investigation.
I feel like he's talking about multiple things. I don't know.
So there's been a lot of talk about how investigation takes place, what's going on behind the scenes. What do these investigators do? And what does it take to build a case to present in court? So
We got to show your favorite guy here. Every time I have play a clip from this guy, the chat goes crazy.
Criminal defense attorney, Fox News contributor. Ted, you heard the interview with the family. You heard the passionate calls for justice from them. A lot of people in the community are concerned. They don't know what's being done behind the scenes. It seems very quiet. So take us behind the scenes of an investigation like this, sir.
Let me just say, first of all, Lawrence, my heart goes out to that family and to the family of all of these victims. They want something done yesterday. We watch, unfortunately, television, and we believe that you move at Perry Mason's speed when it comes to investigations of this nature, but that's not true. What is happening is, initially, when you have a homicide scene like this, you have to preserve that crime scene. And at that stage, you have crime scene search officers to come in and get as much evidence as they can or to send to a lab for processing. Once that information comes back from the lab, then the investigators can work from there. But also, in an investigation of this nature, you're looking at all of the tips. Now, what you have out there, and Lawrence, I've been out there on the ground in Idaho, and I can tell you, you've got about a 30-person police department out there. And they haven't had a homicide since about 7 years ago. And so as a result of that, they're not well trained in dealing with this. So this is the reason the Idaho State Police and the FBI are involved. I think the only thing we can say to the parents is you're just unfortunately gonna have to be patient.
So Ted, what type of information are we going to get from that crime lab? I had the opportunity to knock on the door of someone that wanted to clear his name. He ran to the police department to present his DNA because he wanted it to be cleared. What's going on behind the scenes with the DNA evidence?
What the hell? What the hell happened? Did they? This is on their stream. What happened? Somehow they got Fortnite out. Is that Fortnite this guy's playing? Damn, I wanted to hear what this guy was gonna say about the DNA and Jeremy. Or he was talking about, wow. How's that kid playing with his head down, though? Is he even playing? Or is he sleeping? Or is he spectating? I don't know what happened. Oh, well. That's interesting. I wonder, I don't know what happened there, how they caught that at the end of their stream there. It's late, man. That's all that is. It's bedtime. Jeremy, I wonder if are they still going for Jeremy, man? They should have left him alone by now, right? Let me see if we got anything else. I think that's it. I think the biggest thing for me tonight was listening to Kaylee's father talk. It kind of raised my ears perked, raised some questions. It was hacked. Mel, I'll send you a follow-up email. Oh yeah, Tim, I saw you did email me. Yes. Let me see if I can get any other read the rest of the chats. And I'll read the regular chat too for a bit after. Just me everything. Then I have to go to his daughter's room. Her injuries are worse, is what I'm hearing. Okay. Just me everything. Did not have to go to his daughter's room. Her injuries are worse, is what I'm hearing. Spitfire, thanks for sharing. Thank you for the super chat. Kaylor Cape, why so much attention is being put on these two girls and not the other two victims? I don't get it. It's sad to me they're being overshadowed. I think it's because these parents are talking more. I mean, the other parents are talking, seems like now more, and the vigil was really nice, but Kaylee's family is really the ones that are really kind of stepping out, and not that the others haven't, but they've been at the forefront, pushing hard. It seems like, doing everything they can, kind of applying pressure. Maybe that's what the father's hoping to do by going on the news, to maybe kind of put pressure on, maybe, to bring awareness and put pressure maybe on the police department and just locals, and letting people know he's not stopping. So I could imagine too. I wonder if that dad is like just, walking around town looking himself probably too, Don, thank you for the super chat, says if the targets were Xana and Ethan, the killer didn't go upstairs to where the girls were. Didn't have to go upstairs to where the girls were, I see. If the targets were Xana and Ethan, which was, they'd be Xana's on the second floor, the killer didn't have to go upstairs to where the girls were. Oh, okay. Could be it. All right, I guess that's kind of it, man. Thank you guys so much for coming late night. I'll see the chat if you guys have anything else. You think it's a serial killer? Ethan's family has been vocal too. I've seen I think that's his mother that I've seen. Is it Ethan's mother? I'm thinking I've seen. Xana Ethan was overkilled. Yeah, where's all the footage and everything going on? Yeah, I don't know. KTLA, a FedEx driver has been charged after a missing 7-year-old girl was found dead. Found dead? I can't stand the media. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of tired. It's pretty late, but thank you guys so much again. If you could hit the like button, please. Subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Check out Discord since we're at the end of the stream. If you'd like a community to come hang out, as long as you follow the rules, come hang out on there. Dude, somebody is knocking on your door. Somebody here. Jeremy harassed a dog. What? And said he heard a dog barking. Check out embassy interview from 2 months ago in Moscow. That's the thing too. I wonder about that too, Sinner. Sinner said, I wonder why the locks were fixed the weekend before. Yeah, why? What was going on with the locks? Why did they have to be fixed? And yeah. The Google searches, I spoke about that on a previous stream. Giving Payback says, iCkEdMeL, what about the Google searches on a couple of the victims in the days before? There was somebody that broke it down on Reddit. Somebody that actually does that kind of line of work. And it's like a nothing burger. I don't even know where I have that link anymore. Idaho murders. It just kind of doesn't mean anything really. Reddit. Here. I'll put the link in the. So this was like a Google employee So the original post, we're not going to do the whole thing, but somebody originally posted, I searched extremely specific terms on Google Trends all before 11/13 and got very strange results. This is unsettling evidence that support the stalker theory. And so I searched their names with their addresses before 11/13 and got the results. Example, Xana Kernodle, the address. I searched different combinations of names before 11/13 and got the results. Example, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen. It's on me. Once again, back to Google Trend data. Can someone who understands this explain how such specific terms yield results? Based on Google Trends, terms searched by one individual do not appear, so it would have to be multiple people searching it. I don't understand why. So he's just wondering, he found results before the murders. Why would somebody be searching them? And this person explains, I think this is it, on the Google Trends /stalker situation. I work for Google, so I thought I'd pipe in here. There has been a lot of talk about the Google Trends showing queries for the victims before the murders. This is all well intentioned, but what we're seeing is noise and doesn't mean anything. And he goes on to like explain. I'll put the links for this. In summary, we don't know the baseline number, whether it's a person issuing a query or if the relative number is even accurate. Google Trends is built to understand ebbs and flows and interest for popular searches, not stuff like this. Xana Kernodle is a good example because it's such a unique name. Using the query Xana Kernodle 112 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, we can check for traffic for the last 5 years. Screenshot. Xana wasn't even in Moscow in 2017, but we see huge spikes in queries around that time. So he kind of puts this whole thing here to break it down. I'm not that interested. He's saying it's a nothing burger. I'm not going to go through all these articles and go in depth and all this stuff. It makes sense. It's very plausible what he's doing, but I'll put both of the links in the description. So if somebody wants to, like, you know, because I've gotten that question a couple of times. Hopefully that answers it enough for you in the chat. But, you know, he's basically saying that's not how the Google Trends function works. My Google Chrome again is acting up. It's frozen right now. Okay, see, I can add the links for you. That's one I've seen a couple of times come up. I'm going to put it right here. Let's see. Google Trends OP. And then I'll put the response. If you're interested after, you want to look at it, you know, in depth. Google Trends, Google Worker response. Okay. So I'm just adding it right now to the description. Somebody said, Tracy says, iCkEdMeL, could this be a hate crime? The best friends were killed in the same bed. Could it be a stalker of one of them thinking they were part of the community? That whole thing. So I'll talk about that real quick. A part of the LGBTQ. I mean, I've seen a couple of people talking about that, and that's apparently it's not like an uncommon thing, especially in college or like girls, you know, like best friends, I guess, falling asleep together, especially maybe after, I don't know, drinking or, you know, going out. The things that I've read online, that's like not an uncommon thing. Girlfriends just like falling asleep, you know, friends. Stir King, thank you for the super chat. Says, yo, did I miss you talking about the same bed bomb that Kaylee's dad dropped at the vigil? Yeah, we talked about that. I heard that they may have had cameras set up to look up for reactions. Is this new info? I haven't heard about the cameras. They may have had cameras set up to look up for reactions. The same bed thing I've heard about. And Sandwich says the funeral home he paid for probably showed him something different. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was thinking when he said that, yeah, did they show him something, or did he just because of the funeral? Was he there to see his daughter's body? Yeah. You know, so is he basing it off of that? And so he's saying it's not leaked. I paid for that. You know, or maybe, yeah, maybe he paid the funeral home. Maybe they gave him some information or something, you know? Maybe that's what he was getting to or alluding to. Yeah, Kaylee had moved out already. That's the whole N8IV says. Yeah, Kaylee had moved out. So the fact that like they were all killed the time where she's just back to show her friend the vehicle, and also Ethan doesn't even live there. He spent the night. You know, I mean, it could be just somebody just happened to get really lucky, but also at the same time, it's almost like somebody knew they were all there. You know, I don't know. Or maybe it was targeted and they all, I don't understand. I mean, if it was targeted for one person, but they went and killed everybody else, then why not the people on the lower level? You know, unless it was just targeted for the 4 people. But it seems like in that conversation with the father, it's like he's saying that it was one person that's targeted. So why kill everybody else, but then why not the people at the bottom? I don't know, man. There's too many missing pieces, and the pieces that are out, it's confusing and it's conflicting each other. And it seems like even the prosecutor and the PD is conflicting each other, you know, at times. So hopefully they get the communication together, you know, a little bit clearer. You know. Bianca says BFF's not a big deal, in the same bed, probably laughing, talking, and fell asleep. Thanks, Tracy. I'll check my inboxes real quick to an email before I head out. Okay, we're good here. Let me just check my emails real quick. Oh, I remember that interview now. The money shot was talking about. I don't remember her having this bump on her face. I remember her face that kind of stood out to me though, for sure. That was like a scary one, huh? I forgot I had that picture of I was trying to find an image for the thumbnail. Nancy up there. But yeah, I forgot this lady. I mean, I don't want to. Lord, they're gonna come for this lady now too. I don't remember this part here. I'd have to find that original video. I even forgot about this. Not even a thought in my head. But I remember this this lady. Thank you for the email. I'd have to go back to and find out which. It was on News Nation for sure. Oh, let me check out. Put in my password. I think. Oh no, it worked. Let's see. Okay, I think we got everything. Yeah, I think that's it. That was somebody. Fuck everybody! Now everybody's like, "Who is that? Who is that?" That was somebody that Brian Enton interviewed, and I forgot why. I think he was just getting people's opinions. It was on one of the other streams that I did, But he was just talking to her in the community. Those are not black eyes. LOL, that's makeup and long lashes. Yeah. That's the next one that I guess they're going to go for. Why can't the survivors talk about that night/morning? That's a good question. I don't know. People have kind of wondered about that, at least publicly. I mean, I don't know. Are they afraid they're going to get targeted by? I mean, is that information crucial? The police tell them not to talk. I mean, I thought it was interesting too that Kaylee's father said that he feels like they're suppressing it or something. You know, the information, and also that apparently he's being told. I guess they don't want them to put flyers up for reward money. Somebody said the police should get the psychics at this point. Pulling the psychics. I wouldn't expect them to talk. Yeah, I'm gonna get some sleep. All right, thank you guys again so much. I appreciate it, man. You guys have a good night. Hit like, take care of yourselves. Be safe. Just appreciate your family. I remember that message on the vigil too. That vigil was really sad. I almost like cried, man. My eyes were like watering and stuff. And I remember they're just talking about family and to appreciate your family and what you have. And Xana's dad, that was pretty tough to watch. So, but yeah, I guess there's a killer out there in the loose. Killer or killers. Hasn't been caught. Who knows if they're still in the town, where they're at. They're probably watching all the reports, the media, news clips, everything. You know? Somebody said talking about the Easter Bunny with the psychics. All right, guys. Love you, man. Take care. Peace. Bye. Bloop, bloop.